I'm more centered now and happy since I got over being the nice girl. You know the one. Be nice, be agreeable, be the good girl, make sure everyone is comfortable, make sure everyone is happy. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that this was our job, and we did it. For decades, we put everyone else first while slowly disappearing from our own lives. But here's the truth I finally had to face. Being the nice girl wasn't kindness. It was self-abandonment. In this video, we're going to talk about how the good girl conditioning quietly takes over your life, why so many women wake up later in life feeling invisible, and the shift that allows you to stop apologizing for simply existing. Because once you see this pattern clearly, you will never be able to unsee it. If you're ready to reclaim your voice, your authority, and your authenticity, subscribe and join this community, because this channel is where women begin remembering who they really are. Welcome to the Rebel Crone. Here's what being the nice girl looks like. You say yes when you mean no, and never give yourself a chance to really think about how you actually feel about the whole situation. Sometimes you may even say no when you really want to say yes. You apologize constantly, even when it had nothing to do with you, or it is the other person that needs to be the one apologizing. A nice girl tries to manage other people's emotions and to avoid conflict at all costs. Your partner or friend is down, so you think it is your job to cheer them up. Or someone is sad and you think you need to make them happy. You think you are responsible for how others are feeling. It's important to understand that the good girl behavior wasn't created by accident. For generations, women learned that being agreeable kept them safe. Questioning authority, speaking too boldly, claiming your own voice, those things could come with real consequences. So what did women learn to do? We learned to smile, to soften ourselves, take off those rough edges, and to apologize for existing. And over time, survival became identity. It's just what women do after all. You are probably familiar with the fight or flight concept, but did you know there are two more? When people are in a stress situation, they can also freeze. And they can also do something psychologists later added. They call it fawning. So the four survival responses are: number 1 is fight, confront the threat. Number 2, flight, escape the threat. Number 3, freeze, shut down or disassociate. And 4, fawn, appease the threat. Fawning means trying to stay safe by pleasing the person who has power over you. Typical behaviors include excessive apologizing, avoiding conflict, prioritizing others' feelings over your own, difficulty saying no, constant emotional caretaking. Especially in childhood environments where love or safety depended on being agreeable, being the good little girl. If I keep everyone happy, I stay safe. That survival strategy then became a lifelong personality pattern that later became people-pleasing. This happened even in not so overt situations. This can happen in very subtle ways. It's the subtle messaging behind how we were raised, how we were corrected, how we were disciplined. For women, society often reinforces fawning as a virtue. The pattern didn't start with us personally. Women have been encouraged for generations to be agreeable, compliant, and accommodating. For most of recorded history, women's safety and social standing depended on compliance with male authority structures: father, husband, church, ruler. Women who were seen as outspoken, sexually autonomous, spiritually independent, economically independent, were often labeled dangerous, immoral, or disruptive. In extreme cases, especially in parts of Europe and colonial America, Women who didn't conform to social norms were accused during events like the European witch hunts and the Salem witch trials. We all know those. We don't have to go into detail what happened there. Even outside those extreme moments, the lesson passed through generations was simple. Safety comes from being agreeable. The modern nice girl stereotype really solidified during the 19th century, especially under the cultural climate of the Victorian era. Women were taught that their highest virtue was selflessness and emotional caretaking. During the 1800s, the industrial era, society split into two spheres. Public sphere, which was men, work, politics, authority. Private sphere, women, home, and emotional support. Women were expected to maintain harmony, nurture everyone else, and not disrupt the social order. This expectation eventually evolved into what modern psychology calls people-pleasing behavior. The modern nice girl is basically the psychological descendant of these social systems that build up over time. Now, of course, many women today are no longer confined to the home. Women have entered the workforce in massive numbers and participate in every level of society. But here's the interesting thing. The environment changed, yet the conditioning often came with us. Many women still feel pressure to be agreeable, accommodating, and emotionally responsible for everyone around them, even in professional environments. The stage changed, but the script we were taught to perform stayed the same. We didn't stop being the nice girl. We just started doing it in more places. The real cost of people-pleasing behavior typically catches up to us in midlife with feelings of resentment towards those that we had been taking care of. We feel burnt out from a lifetime of giving. We also feel invisible because no one seems to care about us. And after all, we don't even see us. Who we really are was lost a long time ago. Add those to the fear of getting old and no longer being of value, you have an unholy cauldron of anxiety and self-doubt. Now, the bottom line, when you spend your life keeping everyone else comfortable and happy, you slowly begin to fade away until you feel like you are now invisible. If we don't understand where our patterns come from, we will assume they are simply who we are. When we start examining where these patterns come from, we realize they were never actually our nature. Beneath all that conditioning, there is a deeper intelligence inside us that knows who we are. That is the good news. As I mentioned in the previous video on why it's not too late to find your purpose, who we really are and why we are here isn't something to be reinvented in midlife. It is something to be remembered once we shed all the conditioning, because beneath all of that, there is a deeper self that knows exactly who we are and who we are meant to be. At 65, I've come a long way to undoing these patterns of apologizing when it's not my fault or when there's no fault at all. I've come a long way in letting go of feeling responsible for other people's feelings, for shutting myself down, for shrinking myself to fit in, and denying how I feel so that others will still like me. But still, I have to be very vigilant because these patterns have a sneaky way of creeping back in. Here are some of the new patterns I've implemented to keep me on my toes. Number 1, I am now aware of the word apologizing so that before it rolls off my lips, I pause. And then I reflect if this situation has anything to do with being my fault. If it does, then I do apologize. If it doesn't, I shut up. I have learned to honor other people's feelings, and if they are down or sad or agitated or angry, I simply let them be. I know that they're in their process for a reason, and it is not mine to try and stop something natural that is working out. I also am now comfortable with other people feeling uncomfortable. It is not my problem if they don't like me or something I said or something I did. If I did do something wrong, though, I go back to number one and I apologize. If not, I keep my mouth closed. The big one is that I've learned to trust myself. I've learned to trust my feelings. What I hope you understand is that being the nice girl was never your true identity. The benefits you received in the moment accumulated over time into patterns that do not serve who you really are. If this message resonates with you, then it's time to address it. It is time to begin the reclamation of your true self. But remember that letting go can happen instantly, and sometimes it's a process. The first stage is simply becoming aware of these patterns even after they occur. Eventually, you'll be aware of them while they're occurring. The next phase is to see them before they occur, and finally, to avoid them altogether. And what do you do to replace them? It is up to you to listen how you really feel, what your intuition is telling you, and what is truly needed from you in each given situation. Honor your inner voice. It is your guide to coming back into alignment with who you truly are.